How to do Kajabi off-page SEO. Hey, what is up, guys? It is Harrison Barron, the Millennial Entrepreneur, and like I said, how do you do Kajabi off-page SEO? Now, I have a whole blog article about this. If you're coming from that blog article, thank you very much for reading that blog article. If you're not coming from that article, well, stay tuned because I've broken out my handy-dandy little pen, and I'm going to teach you guys exactly what you need to do to start getting the off-page SEO, right? We've already learned the on-page SEO. There's 4 main areas that you need to go and make sure that that's done. Your pages, your settings area for your blog and your homepage, and then ultimately any additional pages you create. That's it. And every new blog. That's it. There's 4, weirdly, I just counted strangely. Now, we've also gone over the page structure on how and what you need to do for your website in order to get Google to treat you like a juicy steak for your SEO. Now, if you're new here, SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. Now, on the thought that you've already started creating some kind of content, which I'm going to be teaching you guys about in the next video, great, but let's just take it as you may have written a blog, your website is now live, you've followed all the best practices that I've taught you so far, and now keep in mind, these things that I'm teaching you are applicable on every single website out there. Some platforms are going to allow for a variety of different, we'll call them bells and whistles, but for the most part, they're all the same. And other platforms are not. Kajabi limits you a good bit on what you can and can't do, which is fine because it allows for everybody to be pretty much put on the same playing field. And I mean, my website is proof that you can rank on Google. So I want to show you guys or share with you guys off-page SEO. Now, off-page SEO is broken down into really a couple main things, but it's really backlinks and how many people are driving traffic back to you. Now, there are do follow and no follow backlinks. A do follow backlink is basically Google saying like, hey, we trust whoever's linking to you. And a no follow backlink is it's just not strong enough to be there, or it's not a strong enough mention, right? That's really it. Now, you might be thinking, what is a backlink? And a backlink is a vote of confidence from one website to another website. That's it. There's no hidden message in there. It's just one website linking back to, hopefully, your website, right? Now, do backlinks help you grow online? Absolutely. And anybody that tells you differently has no idea what they're talking about. There have been so many independent studies done that just prove that this works. And Google has said it publicly that it doesn't matter as much, but it still matters. So what is a backlink? A backlink is from one website to another, but not all backlinks are created equal. There are what's called domain authority and page authority. These 2 numbers represent what your website is ranked at. So domain authority is your overall domain. For example, in many cases, I use my own personal website, harrisonbarron.com, or my agency website, growth-generators.com. Both of these, right, have their own domain authority. It's the overwhelming number or the overarching number over every piece of content that we've produced. So I think for harrisonbarron.com, it's about 30, and for Growth Generators, I think it's about a 17 currently because it's a new website. But ultimately, the higher you can get that number, shout out to my dog Hunter, but the higher that you can get that number, the better for your website. Now, it takes a long time to develop a good domain authority, but there's a faster way that you can grow. And that's by having a powerful domain authority link back to your website. Now, page authority is kind of like domain authority, but it's for one page on your website. It's way less powerful, but having one powerful good page can rank for a variety of keywords. Every website is not created equal. So high domain authority websites are like this. Now, let's take finances out of it for the most part, but if Warren Buffett, right? I just say that meaning like if you don't agree with the way they invest, regardless, right? It's still, this is kind of how it works. If Warren Buffett goes to you and says, hey, you should go buy as many shares of this company as possible, right? Versus a kid just out of high school who just started day trading, right? Whose advice is going to be better? Obviously Warren Buffett. He's a billionaire, right? With a B, a billionaire. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. And Google says like, okay, well, if Warren Buffett is going to recommend you by backlinking or pointing to you, right, that is so much better than a kid fresh out of high school, which is probably a new website, versus Warren Buffett's website, which might be a really old, long-lasting, proven track record website, right? Maybe it's Consumer Reports, maybe it is Founder Magazine, maybe it's Entrepreneur Magazine, maybe it's CNN, like whatever. It's typically news outlets, but there are a variety of other platforms out there, Wikipedia, right? And All of these are rated as a DA, domain authority, from 0 to 100. 100 being the best of the best. Now, to give you an idea of what they are ranked at, Wikipedia is a 99. Okay? So anything that falls, I've never seen 100, right? But Wikipedia is a 99, and then you have 0, which is a brand new website that just hit the internet, right? Google does not trust it at all. So I actually broke out this pen, and I want to share with you guys a couple different ways that you can start developing these backlinks, but it's pretty simple when it comes to it. And I just want to draw it out because I think a lot of people, when they see it, it just works better. So you have your beautiful website, right? And I apologize, my handwriting and still learning how to write on this plastic tablet is very different compared to writing on pen and paper. But you have your website, right? This is you, right? And then you have all of the other billions of, I think there's billions of websites out there. If not, there's definitely billions of pages out there, right? And these are all other pages. So in theory, you want two things to happen. You want these to be as high, right? That's going to be an arrow here, but as high of a domain authority as possible, right? But also relevancy is super important, right? So high domain authority, high relevancy. So for example, if this is my website, right? We have hb.com, right? Now I talk about a lot about LinkedIn and entrepreneurship. I'm going to start breaking into more about my life and the things that I've learned. But, right, I don't particularly partake in gambling, guns, drugs, anything like that. So if maybe there is a cannabis website out there, right, and they link out to me, right, Google's going to look at this and be like, what's going on? It'll probably say that's good, right, but it's probably just okay. Whereas maybe this is another industry expert, right? You have an industry expert, or you have maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's maybe it's Wikipedia talking about LinkedIn or entrepreneurship, right? When they point back to me, maybe this website is like 15, right? Their DA is domain authority is 15, right? If it's an industry expert and they've been around for a while, maybe this is around 35, right? This is a 99, as I've already told you, and LinkedIn is probably somewhere up in the 70s or 80s, right? It's going to be a little bit harder because LinkedIn has its own platform where you can't just post a million things on social media and expect it to link back to you, but either way, Google looks at it like these are all really good. Maybe this is a podcast that I was on, right? This may be a no-follow backlink. These are all do follows, right? So this is going to be way better, right? And Google recognizes this as a way better source than this one. Now, it's not a bad thing, right? Google's still happy to see that this is coming in, and this is coming in, this is coming in, this is coming in. But essentially, some things are just not going to carry the weight, right, that you want it to, right? Another great example. I'm sure everybody's done this. Facebook post. Right? This is technically going to link back to your stuff, but this is probably going to be a no-follow link. Right? Because there's just not enough substance there, and Google knows that anybody could post this. Another great example. Instagram too, but maybe it's Pinterest. All right? This may generate a no-follow link. Now, Google looks at all of the links, do follow and no follow. I don't want to say the same because do follows are way better, but all of them are good, right? And all links can potentially drive visits back to your website. And that's really the core of off-page SEO. You want to make juicy content that people can find, and the more and longer you rank on the top of Google, the more and the higher likelihood you have of other websites linking back to you. Because if you create really good content and they don't want to compete with it, they might just use you as a reference. Or if you're an industry expert, right, or Wikipedia, right, they may say, oh my God, this is such good information. Let's just link back to Harrison's website because he has that beautiful chart that I showed you on the last one, right, with the headings. This is what works really, really well. Now, there's a couple strategies that you can use to develop these backlinks, right? And it's typically going to be really good content, infographics, right? Maybe it's a really impressive interview, right, that doesn't live anywhere else on the internet. But essentially, these are all different ways that you're going to start doing your off-page SEO. Now, there's a whole variety of other areas that you can get them from. I will tell you right now, if you are watching this, you can buy them. be careful. You can do a lot of damage with this, right? If you get a lot of really negative, let's just say, let me erase some stuff here, but let's just say you get a really bad website that comes in here and it's just no good, right? Let's just get rid of all this. Let's say you get a really bad website, like really bad. All right? These are all bad, right? And they're all linking to you, right? And when I say bad, I mean like they have malicious viruses on there. They're maybe related to the porn industry or something like that, right? Where they're no good. This is stuff that red flags in Google, right? Google is shocked at this, right? This is my shocked thing, right? It's just exclamation points. And they were like, oh my God, too many of these can actually drive your domain authority, right? Your domain authority, right? Maybe it's currently 30. Too many of these going to your website can drop it down to like a 15 or a 5. Or if you do something really bad, you go on Fiverr, you buy a couple thousand backlinks, right? And I'm not hating on Fiverr. There are good sellers on Fiverr. But you have to be really, really careful, because if you go on there and you say, hey, I want to buy 10,000 backlinks, and they just put them all on bad websites, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily like porn or drugs. It could be anything else, right? Make sure you keep that in mind where, hey, this could negatively impact you. Maybe they're just spam websites, right? Maybe they have viruses all over them. Maybe they're fake news websites. Whatever it might be, right? Google understands every single website pretty well. And when you start to acquire a lot of these, you got to be really, really careful. So you can go buy links, right? Maybe if I wanted to buy a link from, I don't know, Wikipedia is probably not the best example, but maybe Founder Magazine, right? You could go buy a link. It's like $1,000, but if you wanted to, you could go buy it. And maybe this has a DA of, 75, right? Typically, as long as that number is higher than what you have, right? DA, 30, right? As long as it's higher, this is probably going to end up boosting your rankings. The higher that gets, the easier it is to rank for new blogs, the more traffic you're going to get over time because Google trusts you more. It just helps you out in the long term. Now, this helps accelerate it. If you don't want to do any of this, you don't have to, right? You don't have to go out and develop blogs. You can guest post on other people's websites. This is a great way to develop content, right? Content for you shows that you're an industry expert, drive more backlinks to you. These are all things that you can do that are going to drastically impact the success of your website. Just be careful, right? You got to think like Google. Is it too good to be true, right? You could go buy 5,000, 10,000 backlinks on Fiverr, but you will do yourself a disservice. And let me tell you, if you do this and you do it wrong, it can hurt you more than it can help you. So I need to tell you that because I don't want anybody going and ruining their websites. But this is how you do it. You can go be a guest on people's podcasts. You can go write guest articles for people. You can be a contributor to maybe a magazine or something like that. There's all of these different ways to develop these backlinks. You have to get a little creative. There's a million resources out online. I'd be here all night if I told you every single one. It could be advertising online, right? That's an easy way to get a backlink for multiple benefits, right? And maybe there's another industry expert. Hey, can I write an article for you? And if you want, maybe I'll write an article. You can write an article for me. And then you both post those articles, and you say written by Harrison Barron at this website, or you reference your own blog in that article. That is how you can develop backlinks. You can do all this. Buying backlinks is against Google's terms of service, so you have to be careful. There's a thriving industry behind it, but you have to be careful because it is against Google's terms of service. If they catch you, they can drop your organic traffic to 0. So just keep that in mind. It's great for a lot of things, but you have to be really, really careful in what you do. Other than that, I hope you guys found value in this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is off-page SEO. Now, there's a couple things that you can do otherwise, but this is the large majority of it. This is definitely the meat and potatoes of it. You can get the accoutrements, but honestly, they don't really matter. This is the most important part about it. Understanding it, understanding how they're ranked, and going through that entire process. So if you guys enjoyed this, hit that like button, hit that little subscribe button, little notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Till then,